Have you ever felt the sting of disrespect? The kind that lingers, making you question your worth. Maybe it was a colleague who dismissed your ideas, a friend who constantly belittled you, or even a family member who never valued your voice. Disrespect is more than just rude behavior. It's a test of your strength, your patience, and ultimately, your self-respect. But here's the truth. No one can make you feel small unless you let them. The Stoics taught that while we can't control how others treat us, we can always control how we respond. And that response, calm, firm, and unwavering, determines whether disrespect continues or ends. In this video, I'll share 7 powerful strategies to handle those who don't respect you. These aren't feel-good cliches. They're real, actionable steps grounded in wisdom and experience. Whether you're dealing with toxic people at work, in friendships, or even at home, these approaches will help you reclaim your power without losing your peace. Because respect isn't demanded, it's commanded through action. Stay with me, and let's begin. 1. Set clear boundaries. Respect begins with you. If you don't define your limits, others will do it for you, often in ways that diminish your worth. One of the greatest mistakes we make is assuming people will naturally respect us if we're kind, patient, or understanding. But the Stoics understood that human nature isn't always virtuous. Seneca once said, "He who does not prevent a wrong when he can, commands it." In other words, allowing disrespect without consequence is an open invitation for more of it. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time when I believed that being agreeable would eventually earn me the respect I deserved. I let people talk over me, dismiss my ideas, and take advantage of my silence. I told myself that if I stayed patient, they'd recognize my value. But reality was far harsher. Respect doesn't come from silence. It comes from standing up for yourself. There was a turning point. I had a colleague who constantly interrupted me in meetings, speaking over my points as if they didn't matter. At first, I let it slide, thinking it wasn't worth the confrontation. But each time I stayed quiet, his behavior grew worse. Then, one day, I made a decision. The next time he interrupted, I stopped speaking, looked him in the eye, and calmly said, "I wasn't finished. I'd appreciate it if you let me complete my thought before responding." The room went silent. For the first time, he hesitated. And from that moment on, he spoke to me differently, not because I demanded respect, but because I commanded it through action. Setting boundaries isn't about aggression. It's not about shouting or proving a point through force. It's about self-respect. When you state your limits with clarity and confidence, you send a message. I respect myself enough to define how I am treated. Whether it's a boss who constantly oversteps, a friend who belittles you, or a family member who disregards your feelings, the principle remains the same. Define your boundaries and enforce them without apology. If someone continuously interrupts you, say, "I value respect in conversations. Please allow me to finish speaking." If a friend constantly makes jokes at your expense, address it directly. "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way." You don't need to justify, over-explain, or apologize. Boundaries are not requests, they are standards. At first, setting these limits might feel uncomfortable. You may worry about how others will react. But discomfort is temporary. The respect you gain, for yourself and from others, will last far longer. The Stoics taught that we cannot control how others behave, but we can always control how we respond. And choosing to enforce your boundaries is one of the strongest acts of self-respect you can make. Because at the end of the day, People will treat you exactly how you allow them to. 2. Don't engage in power struggles. Disrespect is often a game, one designed to provoke, control, and pull you into a battle where the other person dictates the rules. And the moment you react emotionally, whether with anger, frustration, or defensiveness, you've already lost. You've given them what they wanted, power over you. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The person trying to undermine you doesn't actually have power. They only have the power you give them through your reaction. The key is to refuse to play their game. I once worked with someone who loved to provoke others. He would make passive-aggressive comments in meetings, dismissing my input with a smirk or a sarcastic remark. At first, I felt the urge to defend myself, to prove my worth, to fight back. But then I realized that's exactly what he wanted. He wasn't looking for a productive discussion. He was looking for a reaction, a sign that he could get under my skin. So I stopped engaging. The next time he made a dismissive comment, I simply looked at him, gave a small nod, and carried on with my point, as if his words were irrelevant. No anger, no frustration, just calm indifference. And something interesting happened. Over time, his needling lost its effect. Without a reaction to feed off, his attempts to undermine me grew weaker. Eventually, he stopped entirely. This is the power of disengagement. It's not about letting disrespect slide. It's about refusing to let someone else dictate your emotions. When you react with anger or frustration, you reinforce their belief that they have control over you. But when you remain composed, unshaken, and indifferent, you strip them of their power. So the next time someone disrespects you, resist the urge to engage in a battle that serves no purpose. Instead, respond with a calm, measured statement, something like, "I see what you're trying to do, but I'm not interested in this conversation." If they persist, don't argue. Simply walk away. Disrespect thrives on reaction, and when you remove that fuel, it withers. In the end, true power isn't about winning petty battles. It's about mastering yourself. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control others, but we can always control ourselves. And that, more than anything, is what makes you truly untouchable. 3. Limit your exposure to them. Some battles are best won by walking away. When dealing with people who don't respect you, the most effective response isn't always confrontation, it's distance. The less time you spend in the presence of those who drain your energy, the less power they have over you. The Stoics believed in focusing only on what we can control. You may not be able to change how someone treats you, but you can control how much access they have to you. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach." In other words, the people around you shape you, so choose wisely. I used to believe I had no choice but to tolerate disrespect simply because I couldn't completely avoid certain people. There was a co-worker who constantly belittled my work, making sarcastic remarks and undermining my ideas in meetings. At first, I thought I had to endure it. I couldn't just quit my job or refuse to speak to him. But then I realized something. While I couldn't remove him from my environment, I could control how much space he occupied in my life. So I made adjustments. I kept our conversations strictly professional, limiting interactions to only what was necessary. I stopped engaging in small talk and didn't linger in meetings where I didn't need to be. Slowly, I withdrew, not with a dramatic confrontation, but with quiet intentionality. And over time, his influence over my mood faded. His words no longer carried the same weight because I refused to give them space in my mind. This applies to every area of life. If a so-called friend constantly disrespects you, you don't need to engage in long discussions about their behavior. Just decline the next invitation. If a family member undermines you at every gathering, sit further away, minimize conversation, and don't entertain their negativity. No need for grand announcements or drawn-out explanations. Just step back, reclaim your energy, and redirect it toward people who uplift you. Protect your space like a fortress. The more time you spend around those who drain you, the more they shape your mindset, your energy, and ultimately your self-worth. But when you remove their influence, you take back control. At the core of Stoic wisdom is the idea that you are the gatekeeper of your own peace. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life, especially not those who fail to respect you. Set your boundaries through action, not words. And remember, you don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes the greatest power is in choosing not to play the game at all. 4. Boundaries as self-respect. How people treat you is a reflection of what you tolerate. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, it's not just about them. It's about the boundaries you either set or fail to enforce. The Stoics believed in self-mastery, and a crucial part of that is defining the limits of what you will and will not accept. Many people avoid setting boundaries because they fear being seen as rude or difficult. I used to be one of them. I believed that being accommodating and patient would eventually earn me respect. But the truth is, respect isn't given to those who passively endure mistreatment. It's given to those who make it clear they won't accept it. I once had a friend who constantly made jokes at my expense. At first I laughed it off, thinking it wasn't worth making a fuss over, but over time his remarks chipped away at my self-respect. The more I let it slide, the bolder he became. Then, one day, after yet another belittling comment, I simply said, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. If you can't respect me, this conversation is over." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just stated my boundary and walked away. His reaction. At first he was surprised, but after that, the joke stopped. He realized that I was no longer a willing participant in my own disrespect. Setting boundaries isn't about being aggressive or confrontational. It's about respecting yourself enough to communicate what is and isn't acceptable. A simple but firm statement like, "Please don't interrupt me when I'm talking," or "I won't tolerate being spoken to like that," is enough to make your position clear. And here's the key. You don't need their approval. Your boundaries are not up for negotiation. At first it might feel uncomfortable. You might worry about how people will react. But discomfort is temporary. Self-respect is lasting. The reality is, people will either adjust and start respecting your limits, or they'll drift away because they can't handle being held accountable. Either way, you win. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you allow yourself to be treated with disrespect, you internalize it. But when you set firm boundaries, you reinforce your own worth, not just to others, but to yourself. In the end, boundaries aren't just rules for others. They are a declaration of how much you value yourself. And when you respect yourself, the world takes notice. 5. Don't take it personally. When someone disrespects you, it's easy to take it as an attack on your worth. Their words replay in your mind, making you question yourself. Did I do something wrong? Am I not good enough? But here's a hard truth. Most of the time, their behavior isn't about you, it's about them. The Stoics teach that external events, including the actions of others, are beyond our control. What we can control is how we interpret and respond to them. Epictetus once said, "When someone treats you poorly, it is their problem, not yours. Their behavior belongs to them. Your reaction belongs to you." Disrespect is often a projection of someone's own insecurities, frustrations, or unresolved anger. Once you stop internalizing it, you strip it of its power. I learned this lesson the hard way. I once had a boss who constantly belittled people. He would dismiss ideas, make sarcastic comments, and subtly undermine my confidence. At first, I took every remark personally. I thought, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. But then I noticed something. He treated almost everyone this way. His behavior wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of his own issues. That realization changed everything. Instead of reacting emotionally, I started observing. When he threw out a dismissive comment, I met it with calm indifference. I refused to absorb his negativity. And the moment I stopped giving him power over my emotions, his words lost their sting. You have the same choice. When someone disrespects you, remind yourself, this is their issue, not mine. Instead of asking, why are they treating me this way? Ask, what does their behavior reveal about them? More often than not, disrespect comes from insecurity, bitterness, or a need for control, not from an honest assessment of your worth. Think of it this way. If someone is drowning in negativity, they will try to pull others down with them. But you don't have to let them. Just because someone throws an insult your way doesn't mean you have to catch it. This shift in perspective is freeing. Instead of reacting with anger or self-doubt, you can detach. When someone speaks down to you, you don't have to defend yourself. When they try to provoke you, you don't have to engage. Their disrespect is theirs to carry. You don't have to take it with you. This doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment. If someone consistently crosses the line, you can address it with calm, firm boundaries. But what you don't do is let their actions define you. The moment you stop taking things personally, you reclaim control over your emotions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your value isn't dictated by how others treat you, but by how you see yourself. And when you master this mindset, you become untouchable. 6. Walk away. When necessary. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in the face of disrespect is to walk away, not in anger, not in defeat, but in self-respect. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control how others behave, but we can always control what we choose to tolerate. And when you choose to remove yourself from a toxic situation, you are making a statement. I respect myself too much to stay where I am not valued. Disrespect, when left unchecked, has a way of chipping away at your self-esteem. The more you endure it, the more it seeps into your mindset, making you question your worth. I used to believe that walking away meant giving up, that if I just stayed strong, endured the mistreatment and fought back, I could somehow win. But here's what I realized. It's not about winning or losing. It's about choosing yourself. I once had a friendship that over time became more and more toxic. What started as light-hearted teasing turned into regular belittling, passive-aggressive comments, and a general lack of respect. At first I tried to address it. I pointed out the behavior, hoping it would change. But nothing did. The jabs continued, and I found myself constantly justifying why I kept this person in my life. Then, one day, I stopped justifying. I stopped explaining. I simply walked away. I didn't make a dramatic exit. I didn't demand an apology. I just stopped engaging, stopped responding, and let the friendship fade. And what happened? I felt a wave of relief. Because the truth is, when you walk away from people who don't respect you, you don't lose. You gain. You gain peace. You gain self-respect. You gain control over your own energy. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. It's not about avoiding confrontation or being unable to handle tough situations. It's about recognizing that no amount of arguing, explaining, or defending yourself will change someone who refuses to see your worth. Some people will never respect you, no matter what you do. And that's not your burden to carry. Walking away can take many forms. It can be as simple as physically removing yourself from a toxic conversation or disengaging from an argument that's going nowhere. It can be limiting your interactions with a disrespectful coworker or setting firm boundaries with a family member who constantly undermines you. And in some cases, it might mean making the difficult decision to end a long-standing friendship, cut ties with a toxic relationship, or leave a workplace where your contributions are not valued. These decisions aren't easy. They require courage, but they are necessary for your long-term well-being. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and the people you surround yourself with influence those thoughts more than you realize." Walking away is not about proving a point to others. It's about proving a point to yourself that your self-respect is non-negotiable, that your peace is worth more than someone's approval, and that you, above all else, have the power to decide who gets access to your time, your energy, and your mind. At the end of the day, the real victory isn't in forcing someone to respect you. It's in respecting yourself enough to walk away from those who don't. 7. Surround yourself with supportive people. Dealing with disrespect is exhausting, especially when you feel like you're facing it alone. The constant battle to defend your worth, to prove yourself, and to push back against negativity can leave you drained, emotionally worn out, and questioning your own value. That's why one of the most powerful ways to handle disrespect is to make sure you're not fighting this battle alone. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and respect you isn't just beneficial, it's essential. A strong support system acts as a shield against the negativity that disrespectful people bring into your life. It reminds you that your worth isn't defined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to see yourself. The Stoics believed in the power of influence. Who you surround yourself with shapes your thoughts, your mindset, and ultimately, your self-respect. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." In other words, spend time with people who strengthen you, not those who tear you down. I learned this lesson firsthand. There was a time when I dealt with a toxic work environment where my ideas were constantly dismissed and my contributions were undervalued. At first, I internalized it. I started believing that maybe I wasn't good enough. But then, I turned to the people who truly knew me, close friends and mentors who reminded me of my strengths, my achievements, and my worth. They helped me shift my perspective, not by sugarcoating reality, but by reinforcing the truth. The opinions of those who don't respect me should never hold more weight than the voices of those who do. Having people in your corner can give you the strength to walk away from disrespectful situations without guilt or hesitation. When you are emotionally drained and feel like you can't stand up for yourself, they remind you that you don't have to fight every battle alone. They provide a space to vent, process, and heal, helping you shift your focus from pain to personal growth. Beyond emotional support, surrounding yourself with the right people also builds resilience. When you regularly interact with those who treat you with respect, it becomes easier to recognize and reject disrespect from others. It reinforces a powerful truth. You deserve kindness, dignity, and respect, nothing less. And when you truly believe that, standing firm against those who try to undermine you becomes second nature. Building a strong support network may also mean making difficult choices, distancing yourself from toxic relationships, letting go of friendships that drain you, or even stepping away from environments that no longer serve you. But it's worth it. As the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with people who uplift you rather than tear you down, you'll naturally cultivate a mindset that rejects disrespect and embraces self-respect. At the end of the day, handling disrespect isn't just about reacting in the moment. It's about creating a life where respect is the standard. And the people you allow into your life play a crucial role in shaping that standard. Choose wisely, stand tall, and remember, you are not alone in this journey. Handling disrespect isn't easy, but how you respond defines your self-worth. Remember, the way people treat you says more about them than it does about you, but your reaction? That speaks volumes about the respect you have for yourself. You don't have to tolerate behavior that diminishes your value. Whether you choose to set firm boundaries, speak up, walk away, or simply refuse to engage, the power is in your hands. You deserve to be treated with kindness, respect, and dignity. And if someone can't offer that, it's not just your right. It's your responsibility to protect your peace. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. Set the standard for how you expect to be treated. Disrespect may come your way, but with the right mindset and the right tools, you'll handle it with grace, confidence, and unwavering self-respect. So the next time you face disrespect, ask yourself, am I choosing myself? Drop your answer in the comments. Choose yourself. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more wisdom, and share this with someone who needs a reminder of their own power. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember, respect starts from within. See you in the next video.